Okay. Thank you for the. Sorry about the background noise here. It's a long story, but I'm not at my house right now. I hope to be a little more enthusiastic and not so boring in this video. And this video is going to be about it's going to be a corporate model exercise. So I will put it, if you have Google Drive, or if I give you a disk, it's going to be in the corporate model exercises. Okay? Just the regular corporate model exercises, not an advanced valuation. And and let's call this one the corporate model with target capital structure. Now I'll probably put this into 3 parts, and when we save it, I'll have a macro to save it, because what we're going to do is show you how to resolve the circular reference, and also how to attain a target capital structure. Now let's start with the basics of a corporate model. And I think the basics, if we really start with something simple, let's start with a balance sheet. Now, in case you don't know this, I have my headphones on and I listen to some good radio, and the background noise, I have no idea what's here. Even horrible coffee shop. It's not really a coffee shop. Probably radio or something in the background. Now, let's put some assets. And let's forget, I hope you don't mind, let's forget the working capital. Let's put some gross assets and some accumulated depreciation. Okay, and I think just these very simple things will fly. Okay, do this. So we have some net plan. Okay. Then let's put some debt. Let's put the debt as 400. Equity. Okay, and any corporate model has to start with some kind of balance sheet. And I suppose because I love my historic switch so much, I'm going to put a period in. Let's make this 2016. And let's go across. Okay. Now, if you go to the next step, which is, it's again, if you want this in the website, go to the macros, and down in the macros, you take this thing called generic macros. Now I'm going to go to the drive. I'm going to get my generic macros from here. Okay. And okay. So let's make this switch. I'll call it a historic switch. And I want to kind of, I want to suggest to you that even if if we make this true and then false. Now, if I press false, come on, and press Shift Control R, it doesn't work. It only seems to work if I have to fix it, I suppose. Very depressing to me. I saw somebody else came up with this themselves. So we press alternate equal, okay? And then we got we can of course press Shift Control C to see what's really in input. And then we need some key operating analysis and assumptions. Now, as usual, you of course need revenue and EBITDA, and I've really got to do a lot more work on this. Talk to you about really what kind of errors can you make measuring volatility, the potential downside in revenues. And I think the oil price volatility provides a lot of lessons in that. I also think, so I don't know, let me see, we have some net plant, so let's say we have 80. Let's say, whatever. Let's say we grow that by 1.03, okay? Shift Control R, of course. Whoops. Shift Control 1. And then we put some CapEx. And that's an enormously important assumption, getting the CapEx consistent with the revenues. Let's put in 20. Let's do something really bad and not grow it. And then we have our key operating assumptions. Now once we have that, the next step is to do our depreciation. And again, I'm doing, this is an extremely simple case, but let's put our gross plant. And let's put an opening balance, let's separate that between existing plant and put our opening balance and add less to the time. Now, and put a closing balance. And then let's also put our net, our accumulated depreciation. And then let's put our opening balance. And then we'll add the depreciation and subtract the retirement and get our closing balance. Now let's put a few assumptions for our depreciation in. Shift Control plus, obviously. Let's put a historic growth. And let's say the historical growth was 4% or something, okay? Shift Control P. And let's also put the life. And let's say the life is, how many years do we have? We have 7 years. So let's make it 7. So by the end of 7 years, essentially all our assets should be retired. Now let's use the historic switch. So if it's true, then we go to the gross assets and use that as our balance. Otherwise, we take the opening balance minus the retirements. That's the magic of the historic switch. Opening balance equals the closing balance. Now, we have to figure out what the kind of retirements are, and we can put some number in here. Okay, so if we put, let's just put 100, that's going to be just an input, and that's going to grow by the historic growth rate. Now, course, the retirements could be lumpy. If you had an acquisition in the middle, it would be a mess. Okay, and we're not finished with that. So again, if it's the historic switch, then we take the retirements we had from the balance sheet. Otherwise, we take the opening balance, add the depreciation, and take away the retirements. Shift control off, opening balance equals closing balance, and now we have the we can put the retirement in as well. And the depreciation, let's put up here. And I think what I'm gonna do, I hope you're not really, really angry, I'm going to call this part 1, and this is going to be mainly actually about depreciation, because I want to make the videos a little bit shorter. So let's just take the opening balance and multiply. Okay, so now let's take the average of the opening and the closing balance and multiply it by the depreciation. Okay? And then we can put the depreciation into our this one. And then let's put our net plant. And our net plant is, let's take the closing balance of our net plant. And here's what we would want. Now that went negative, so that's not good. And let's just do a little goal seek. With goal seek, we'll just do a little what if analysis and make this last value 0 by figuring out what kind of retirements we need. Okay, and then we kind of have this existing depreciation. So looks like such a simple kind of case, but it's actually not, and it's actually really important. Okay, now let's put the new plant. And let's just, there won't be any retirement. So we'll put opening, balance. This is the new, I suppose, gross plant. Opening balance, add the capital expenditures, and put a closing balance. Okay, and the opening balance is equal to the closing balance. This time we have nothing, and we just go up and get our capex. Alternate equal to get this. Shift control 1, shift control. And then we can make our depreciation expense, and we'll use the same depreciation rate. Now, I really should have kind of demonstrated to you an accumulator. It's just this one plus this one, and I could get a total net plant, which is the end. It's the net plant here plus the closing balance minus the accumulated depreciation. Okay, so we weren't really replacing our net plant. I'm going to make this 50. I'm going to make this 80. Okay, and let's make our edit 150, 170. Okay. I have no idea what's going to happen here. Our net plant still goes down. Oh well. Okay. And then we have, now let's do our financing. Now for the financing, let's put a cash balance. No, yeah, we need a cash balance. We need a little bit of a cash balance. And let's make a cash balance 150 or something. Of course, the total assets now are going to be this. And our equity better be total. Okay. And how about we'll just put a cash balance. Now let's start with an opening balance. And let's add the net cash changes and put a closing balance. Okay, and it's finish here. We'll just let it be positive and negative. So what I'm going to do on this one is just gradually. I don't know what happened just now to the video because I just unplugged the thing by accident. And then let's put the profit and loss statement. And on the profit and loss, let's start our EBITDA. And I'm just showing you depreciation. Okay. See, there's interest, interest income, fee, that's taxes, earnings. That's how I left it with the E, and then I put a cash flow statement. And let's start with EBITDA, less the taxes paid. We can put less working capital changes, just in case we add some things. Let's put net operating cash flow, less the capital expenditures. And then we put the cash before financing. And then we put net cash change. Now, when we have this, now let's put the balance sheet in. Now that's where we started, but this time I'm just going to start with assets. Oops, let's start with assets. And let's first put our equity balance. Excuse me, let's put our opening balance. Let's add the net income. And then let's take away the dividends. And then let's add the equity issues, which we will put up here, not yet. Closing balance. Okay, and then we'll let's put our assets first, and put our net plant initially. No, our cash balance. Then we put our net plant, put our total, and we put our debt, equity, and total. Okay, and now let's also put a debt balance here. Now I'm going to just start with here if it's the historic switch, then we take the cash balance. Otherwise, we go up to the opening balance plus the net cash changes. Opening balance is closing balance. This can be copied. These can be copied. Oops, shit. Okay, and the net cash changes come directly from our cash flow statement. Okay, Shift Control R. Our debt balance will do the same thing. If it's the historic switch, then we take the debt balance. Otherwise, we'll take the last balance now. So we're going to change this, of course, but that's how we can get everything started. Now we have our EBITDA from just above. We have our depreciation, which is the new depreciation plus the existing depreciation. That's pretty bad. We don't have much EBIT. Interest income and interest expense we'll leave out, but let's just put the calculations in. And taxes we'll leave out, so we'll have the profit and loss statement. And then we go down and get our EBITDA. Taxes paid come from this statement. Working capital changes we don't have yet. This, minus this, minus this. And then we can put our capital expenditures in. And we have our cash flow before financing. And for now, we'll just say this is our net cash change, so we'll be like Apple and just stick this on the balance sheet. And we'll say if it's the historic switch, we just, oops. If it's the historic switch, then we take the balance sheet amount. Otherwise, we go to the top, take the opening balance plus the income minus the dividends plus the equity issues. Okay, and of course the opening balance is the closing balance, and copy this across. Now here's the good news, I suppose, is that we're just finished. Okay, and I'm going to finish this and stop the video. That was just Shift Control R. And our cash balance, we can now go and get the ending class balance. For the net plant, we can go upstairs and get our total net plant. And we'll add these together. We'll get the total debt, which we didn't touch. And we'll get the total equity balance, which is from here. Okay. Okay. And we have our one kind of test, which is the difference. And now we can project that difference. Oh, shit. I couldn't even get this right. What a joke. How did I do wrong? 127. Just a minute. Oh, of course I didn't put the net income here, did I? I didn't have any dividends. Okay, so... shit. Okay. This is really now even more embarrassing because I have two errors. 99. Less cash, so come on. This just sucks so bad. Depreciation. Did I put the wrong on that plant there? 737. Just a minute. Okay, I made a pretty stupid mistake. When I put the retirements in cumulative depreciation, I mixed up the depreciation and the retirements, and that was my mistake. The other mistake I made, which was more interesting and more serious, was that really the closing retirements and the closing depreciation should both be zero. So when I did the goal seek, that was a little bit simplistic. And I just threw in a growth rate. Now let's put a 5% growth rate, and it doesn't go to zero. And we did a goal seek before. It would be better to use a solver. And in the solver, you leave out the top bullshit part. You just put in, well, I want to change both the growth rate, because I don't have any idea what it was, and the retirement rate. And then I'm going to set the ending balance of the gross plant and the ending balance of the accumulated depreciation to zero. And I'm going to solve this. Okay? Now, I have never seen anybody do this in a model, but it's the right way to do it, I think, because depreciation will really mess things up. And now we have everything started. And the best news is that the balance sheet balances. So we can put it in the test. Okay, make sure that this equals zero. And if it doesn't, we can eventually put a round in there. Okay. And I'm going to stop with this. And that's going to be our part one. Okay. And then we're going to gradually add other things to this model. Okay? But that really, even though it sounds ridiculously simple, it could be how you'd start a model, and it has some pretty sophisticated depreciation stuff in it. So stop.